Hi everybody, Tiffany here. Welcome to my quilting life. To the Dresden So Long video 3. That's what today is. And if you're new to my channel, subscribe, like, share my videos with your quilty friends. And that's it. That's all I gotta say.
That's all I got.
So, um, day, well, technically it's day 3 of sewing, but today I am just going to review, play catch up, and sew while we all sew and hang out and chit chat, because there's really nothing to teach today because I want to get some more blocks done before I bring them over to the brother machine and start stitching them. So yeah, I just want to get some more sewing done because I know a lot of you aren't caught up. So that's what we're going to do today. So I have all my background already cut up. Literally, I chopped the rest of my back pieces and the last of, because I made one 4-patch style Dresden yesterday. I have the other 3 right here, cut and pressed. And review, the big huge blocks are 24-inch squares. To make the pieced blocks, you need 4, which is the leftovers from cutting your 24-inch square, from 2 different cuts. You get only 1 background square per, and then the other fat quarters create this. You need 12 1/4, 4 12 1/4 inch squares to do this. So that's what we're going to do, is piece some blocks, put these together. I gotta see which way I put the other ones while I'm like literally right here.
I'll show them the other ones if you
No,
want.
I just need to see what way I started so that I could keep laying them all the same way. So here's what a pieced one looks like with the 2 extra different prints in the background, which they look super cool. I wish there was more fabric enough to do more, but obviously you need 8 yards of fabric if you're only doing the Dresdens singled. It's a lot of yardage to do this, but we will get it done. So I'm going to sew these together, but first let's see who is all here. We got Patricia.
And answer her question.
What size is your select rulers? My Quilter Select ruler is a 24 by 8.5 inch. I only have this one. The other ruler that I've been using for this project is a Fiskars 12.5 inch ruler, which I'm only using the 12 1/4 inch line for these blocks. It'd be nice to have more Quilter Select rulers, but they're kind of out of my budget, so I work with what I got. Alright, we got Katrina here. Why be late at the hospital to see Sherry? Okay. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Jim. Hi, Kim. BJ, hello. I'm going to refresh this because for some reason that doesn't look right. Where are we at?
You're at BJ and Carol. Right after BJ's Carol Green.
Hold on. I'm scrolling. Alright, we got Carol and Judy, hello. Angela, Joyce, hello. Joe is here, hello.
Marla.
Sorry, when I get notifications it moves me. Hi, Marla. Hi, Jen. Hi, Elena. Hi, Diane. I'm scrolling. Hi, Laura. Hi, Bonnie. Hi, Cherie. Hi, Robin. Hi, Mary. I finally used my Dresden ruler and extended it like Tiff showed us. Good, so you're lining up at the bottom, because when you're using this one, when you're cutting your blades out, this smaller 8.5, you always line it up at the bottom so you still get your wide top, or else your top will be too skinny. So always remember when you're cutting to line it up at the bottom of your 10-inch strip. That way you still have the wideness of the top. It always has to go to the bottom. So when you flip it to cut the opposite side, line it up at the bottom, or which would be the top at that point, and so on and so forth as you flip it. So don't forget that, because that way it equals that 10-inch mark. So like if you line these up together, you could see it has to go to the bottom. And I showed you guys in video 1 how to do that. just so you don't mess up, because I almost made a wrong cut on the first day just because I was not paying attention. So make sure you're paying attention so that it doesn't get messed up. Hi Heather.
Vicky.
Hi Vicky. So why am I in so much pain? Darn. Aw, that sucks. Sorry to hear that. Alright, so I'm gonna just stick this right here. And I am going to sew some big huge 4 patches with my big huge 12 1/4 inch squares. I'm just gonna line them up nicely and sew a 1/4 inch seam all the way down. And Mr. Scotty, can you turn the iron on, please?
You gonna do all the ironing again today?
What?
You gonna do all the ironing again today?
Yeah. So I'm gonna leave that on there, and then I'm gonna grab this one and put the background square. Since my background is like, you know, that's going behind the Dresdens is all directional, I'm making sure that when I put the 4 patch together that they are going directional. You don't have to. I mean, I just think it's a client quilt, so I'm trying to be 100% about it. Just remember these big huge blocks that they can get off just ever so slightly. Just be very cautious with them. I'm just gonna finger press this towards the background like this.
Hi, Suburban.
Put the 2 right together. Hello, Suburban.
Hi, Joyce.
Hi, Joyce. Hi, anybody coming in? Hello, hello. So we just got right to it today. How's everybody doing with the sew along? Has everybody got their, you know, Dresden Blvd? And if you've made one single block, how did that go for you? I haven't shown how to stitch all the way around, but I'll get to that. But it was pretty much self-explanatory if you're ahead of me.
Hi, April.
So I'm going to stop in the middle, then keep going. That way everything stays nice and lined up.
Hi, Judy. Hey, Auntie Ann. Auntie Ann is pressing the blades now.
Alright, awesome. Alright, so here's a giant 4 patch. I'll just press it in a minute. Actually, I'll just press it now because it's so humongous.
I made room for you over there. I could easily iron that for you. You gotta let me iron something. I'm gonna lose my nickname.
So I'm just quickly ironing it real fast.
Do you hear me, beautiful?
From the back side, and then I'm going to flip it and press from the top. Yes, I hear you, mister.
Hi, Brenda. Hi, Emily.
Hello, hello. Go on.
Jim asks, how big is a twin supposed to be?
Let me give you the exact on that one. A twin bed is 39 by 75. So you gotta think twin mattresses are like at least 10 inches to 14 inches thick. So you want at least 10 inches or 14 inches hanging over on each side. So I would say 60 by 90 for a good, nice twin size quilt. This one's just going to be quite a bit bigger, but it's not fully full size. Let's look real quick. Because a full size is 54 by 75, and we're going to 75 by 93-ish. So, yeah, that'd be like perfect for full size, I guess, when we're done. But technically, this is just me putting something together that's oversized, because that's what I was asked for. A twin that could fit.
Vicky has one more plate to sew, and then sew to the back.
Alright, so that one's pressed. I'm going to go ahead
Judy's
and
made 3 plates so far, but no centers yet.
I'm going to go ahead and just put the next one together now.
Laura's winding bobbins and getting ready to start stitching down. She was up late practicing embroidery stitching.
Ooh. That's another thing you can do in the centers of these. You can embroider something that's into a circle, and put your embroidery right in the middle of the Dresden, that would be really cool. I don't have an embroidery machine, but I know that it would be nice.
Elena says, camera work looking good. Thank you, Elena. We're using the tablet again. Seems to work better with our internet than Tiff's cell phone.
Hi, Teresa.
Even though our tablet's quite old.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the tablet's working as good as it is for now.
Diane says, I need to make a king size.
Just add more to it. So instead of putting 3 across by 4 down, you would do 5 across by 6 or 7 down for a king. But you're still going to have sashing and stuff.
Kim has the blades turned and ready to press. And then she can sew them together. You get it, Kim.
Alright, so I'm just going to press these with my finger for now.
Elena says, no plates for me yet except the one I'm eating dinner off of. That sounds like me.
It's together. So I'm just trying to get these backgrounds all finished so that way I could start sewing the rest of all the Dresdens together, because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 blocks, 7 Dresdens left to make.
Vicky says she started hers 7 months ago. That's why she's so far. Tiana's pressing the blades in half to be able to sew and center each point. She says, I'm really bad and make wonky 1/4 inch seams and I'll center.
Get a seam guide. Becca has seam guides in her Etsy shop, so if you guys go over to sewbecca.shop, she has seam guides in her shop. The same kind that I have.
Well, that's awesome, Brenda. We'll see you later.
What?
She's going to go pick up her hubby's birthday steak dinner. So she
Ooh,
said goodbye. So I said,
sounds
that's awesome.
yum.
Goodbye. See you later.
I haven't had a steak in a long time.
I know, neither have I. You should let me take you out sometime. You act like it's me. I'm the one that's always ready to go do something. Scott, eat food? Never.
Okay, so I'm just pressing this one now. Trying to keep these seams as open as possible because they can fold over. They're such big blocks that we're making big 4 patches that the seam can turn itself.
Don't make me hungry again, Vicky.
Alright, let's move on to the last one.
And I don't even know what a cabbage roll is, but I'd eat one.
Cabbage roll?
Yeah, she was talking about making them yesterday. She didn't get to. Now she's talking about making them today.
I would assume it's some kind of food mixed into cabbage and rolled up and cooked or baked or something.
Now they're not talking about steaks and shrimp and all kinds of other stuff.
Well, I won't eat seafood. No seafood for
That's
Tiffany.
okay, I will. And Tiff has to have her red meat very, very well done because of her belly issues. It can't have any pink or red. It does not agree with her.
Nope. Plus, you guys can't make me too hungry. I haven't had lunch yet.
Elena says she agrees with you. She needs it well done. She doesn't want it mooing.
No, no mooing. Not allowed. I like charcoal. They always look at me funny too when we go out for steak and stuff like that though. I'm like, can you burn it for me please? And they're like, why? Probably the only person in this whole town that wants my food burnt. Yes, bring it to me charcoal.
Oh, our steakhouse knows how you like it.
Yeah.
That one lady anyway used to know you quite well.
Okay, so this is the last of the piecing for the 4 patches that are going behind, and if you need to be caught up, I told you guys what to cut in yesterday's video from the fat quarters that we separated. 8 fat quarters I separated from my bundle that are the lighter colors to make this, that go with my background fabric.
Hey, Judy.
Hello, 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 welcome. Keep that simple and flip it back. You know, these really, really, really big, huge blocks, it's not very hard to nest up the seams. They nest so nicely, even though they're so huge.
Spervin said it's been so long since they had a dinner out, she might go take a bite out of a cow. He all got jokes today.
Alright, so
You gotta have fun while you're quilting and
those
sewing.
over here, I'm going to move all this now up and over here so that we could sew Dresden blades together now. I'm going to move this, actually this can just stay right here. Let's just start sewing these together now. So I'm just going to, for purposes of making sure that nothing is the same next to each other, I'm just going to kind of lay them out. I showed you guys how to do this. Let's grab.
Teresa says the more mooing the better. Everybody likes it different.
Yep. So I'm just laying them out.
I got a good friend in Texas that does his something like 8 or 10 seconds on each side, and that's it when he grills a steak. I forget how long it is, but he has an exact amount of seconds. On each side, he flips it, and then it's done. And yes, his is like blood red rare. He's a friggin' vampire.
So I just making sure that it looks okay. Which it can't not look okay no matter how I lay this out. Because
Hi, Carissa.
it's definitely mixed up. Nope. I want 2 browns next to each other. Swap that green for the brown right here. There we go.
That
Now,
looks good.
I'm just going to start right here, take one at a time. For this, instead of chain piecing them through in sets of 2, I'm just going to, one at a time, hook them to each other. Sometimes chain piecing is faster, but sometimes it's easier to keep things in order if you just do one at a time, if you're laying things out first. Still goes just as fast. Alright, grab the next. This is so much fun. I don't know what it is, but these are just so fun to do. Maybe because they all look different, and mine are not all the same.
Hey, Bettina.
They may be the same fabrics, but they're not all being laid out in the same order. And there's 20 different pieces, so there's 20 different variations you can do. And we're only making 12 blocks.
Chris is watching while it works. She had to wait till no one else was there.
Don't get yourself in trouble if you're at work, please.
We've said this many times with many of our viewers that sneak us while at work. We don't want you guys to get fired just because of watching us.
I don't want to be the reason for a bad day, because getting fired would be a bad day.
Yes, Patricia, she did say the sizes of them, but here. I'll do it
It's
again.
24 by 8.5.
A big dog, can you see it all? Oh, that's way too close. That one's the 24.
That's all I have on the Quilter Select. My other one is a Fiskars 12 1.5 inch. That's what I was using to cut the other blocks. If you don't have that, you can just measure from your cutting mat. If you don't have a big 24 by 36 mat, you can still use the smaller ones, which is under this machine, that's 18 by 24. You just have to fold your fabric to do that. It's still doable.
I don't know what to tell you, Diane. Go out and come back in, or else redo your chat thing instead of
Is
doing
it not working?
live chat, the top chat, and then go back and hit the live chat or something.
Yeah, I usually
You couldn't see the chat.
go out of chat completely to reset mine. I just press the X and then come back in and then press live chat. So that way I see everything, because top chat doesn't see all the comments. It only sees, I don't know, the relevant ones, I guess. I don't know. And also, hold on, while we're here, I forgot to do something. Let me do this real quickly.
That's okay, Patricia.
That button. Touch screens make this go so much easier. That button.
And this cool
This
thing on
button.
her ruler didn't come with it. This she found at the dollar store.
At the thrift store.
Oh, well, thrift store, dollar store, whatever.
Found it
Goodwill.
at the thrift store.
And yeah, it just pops off and on. So since she hurt her hand, that makes it easy.
Yeah, well, not really, because I can't left-hand cut, because I can't hold down on it with an open hand yet.
Hi, Teresa.
Go. There. Alright, the Facebook group is now pinned in a blue message at the top of the chat screen.
Oh, that's cool.
I totally forgot to do that. I forgot it in yesterday's video. Not perfect. So I'm just sewing these together and matching up the top V end first, the folded end. You cannot sew from the bottom first.
That's okay, Mary. That was a real eye-opener for Tiff and I, too, yesterday, learning all about that.
What?
Everybody's quilt guilds. We
Oh,
were quite
yeah.
amazed how they are all. We thought it was just here in our town. Elena says, "Oh, Tiffany getting all techie." She is.
That's why I moderate for other people, because I can do the links. But now I figured out how to pin the messages too. Well, at least for my own personal chat. I don't know if it works as I moderate on other channels.
We're very slow when it comes to technology.
I'm learning. And now I got to figure out how to, when I get if I can ever get a new computer, I'm going to figure out how to do the multiple camera thing. I still don't think I'll ever be perfect at that whole editing videos, but at least I got to learn like how to do multiple cameras someday. I already had to fix that one. It was not landing where I wanted it. And even if it doesn't, that's okay. Just stop and adjust. This is supposed to be fun, not stressful.
In your opinion, is there any difference between creative grids or Quilter Select rulers?
Creative
Do you
grids.
have any?
I have Omnigrid, I have Omnigrip. I don't have any creative grid ones. Oh no, I do. I have a perfect rectangle creative grids one. It has the creative grid ones have the roughness around the 1/4 inch to help keep it from moving. But the Quilter Select, the whole entire thing, like literally, once it's on the fabric, It doesn't move it. Can you get those pieces that went flying for me, please?
Oh, I see one. How many went?
I have no idea. But yeah, once it's on the fabric, look, it like, I mean, you can move the fabric with it without barely touching. So that's the one thing I do like about that one. The only thing is you have to actually literally pick it up off the fabric and then move it to the next spot. You can't slide it to the next spot. So if you're a fast cutter and you like to slide your rulers over to the next spot, cut, slide it, cut, slide it, cut, you can't do that with the Quilter Select because they stick to the fabric so well.
Jim says your edited videos aren't bad at all.
They're better than they used to be.
Was this piece over here or was it up here?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, then you're going to have to count how many pieces you have in there.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah.
Okay, because I saw the exact copy right here, so I was kind of wondering.
Well, if it was the exact copy, then it didn't come from that.
Well, I have more than one because there's another one in there. But I figured there's two right there, so. Have a good day too, Teresa. Take care.
See ya.
Suburban asks if you use a cheat sheet to mod. Makes it so easy.
Cheat sheet to what?
Mod. M-O-D.
Mod what?
She says makes it so easy. Hi, Bernie.
Hi, Bernie. Sucks. Ask me how I know.
I was going to read that next. Yeah, you got that.
I can see some of the comments, guys. Not all, though.
So moderate.
No, I don't use a cheat sheet. I don't know what I'd be cheating with.
Judy says it's wild to go back to your early videos and see you with all the piercings.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys know, because I probably haven't said it in a while. You guys remember the lip rings? When right before I turned 4, I went for an MRI or something like that, and I had to take them all out. So I came home, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and looked at myself, and looked at myself, and I was like, I turned 40 in like 3 months. And then I thought to myself, I've had these since I was a teenager. I don't need it no more, I guess. So, I mean, little by little, I had 13 piercings in each ear since I was a teenager. And then I started having kids, and I would be breastfeeding, and they would grab at my ears and yank my earrings, and I just keep losing them and losing them. So over the years, I started taking the earrings out of my ears, and then I took my second one out of my nose, and I took my eyebrow, got ripped out, so I took it out permanently, and then other areas of my body I had pierced, I took those out. I just kept taking them out, taking them out. My lip rings were the only ones I kept in because that's what everybody saw was my face. They were used to seeing those piercings all those years, you know. Everybody knows me by the 3 piercings, and I just looked in the mirror after that MRI and said, you know what, I'm not putting them back in. I'm turning 40. I think I'm too old for this. So I've left them out. So I kept my nose ring because I know lots of people who have nose rings that are older. And I kept the 3 in the bottom of each ear and a 4th one in the top, and that's it. That's all I have now. Oh, and my tongue. But there's no point in taking out the tongue. Nobody ever sees it. Just me.
Hi, Lisa.
I grew up.
Well, Mary says you're so pretty without them, Jeff. They covered up your beauty.
Yeah. The only thing that I'm stuck with now for the rest of my life, and most people don't think about that, is I have the holes now permanently on my face. I could go have the slit surgery where they slit them all. It's just a little dermatologist thing. They slit every single one, and then they close them with a stitch so it'll re-heal. But that's expensive. Insurance don't pay for that kind of stuff. That's just me wanting to fix myself. So.
Diane says, I think you look younger without them.
Well, thank you.
Suburban saying you put all the links for each channel in a Word document, and then when host asks for a link, you just copy and paste it. That's what she meant by using a cheat sheet.
Oh, yeah, no. When I'm on channels, I just close out, go grab the link real quick because everything's on my phone, and then put it on there. And then when it comes to like websites, if I know someone's website, I just type the whole thing out, the HTTP with the dots and the dashes and everything, and then I just type out the website and that's it.
I don't even realize it, Mary, and I'm the one that's kissing her all day long. Mary didn't realize you had a tongue ring.
Yeah, nobody really realizes it's there. I don't play with mine like teenagers and people do when they first get their tongues pierced. I don't sit and do that with it. To me, it's just lame. So here's my Dresden. I just need to take it over here. We're going to go over this real quick. Can you camera that?
Yeah. Yes. Quite easily. Yes. Go. Do your thing.
So everything, I finger press to the right so it doesn't look flat. You can see it's sticking up. You can see it does not lay flat. It's going to lay flat though because we're going to take
want this light on over here?
seams. Oh yes.
Will that help?
Probably. Be very careful and cautious when moving the camera though. So I'm just gonna go
Which one is the
top.
ball bend? Okay, that's right on it. You have to move it up some.
So
Right
now
there.
you can see it's starting to look a little bit more flatter. All I did was push all of my seams out to the right where I pressed them with my finger. Then I flip it over and you can see it looks lumpy. Now everything is going this way and I just press it out. I use steam to get this to lay super flat and you can see it starts laying flat as you just keep pressing around. Just keep going around it over and over until it's the super flattest that you can get it. It shouldn't, if you are sewing a 1/4 inch seam the whole entire time, this should come out flat every time. If you're struggling with a 1/4 inch seam and you're having an issue, you could always, like I said yesterday, you can fold it in half, find the seam that's bothering you, and start about right here, like halfway into the block, and then stitch slowly about 2 stitches over from your original stitch and just make a wider stitch length, or I mean stitch, a wider seam allowance towards the bottom, and it should bring that in if it's, because it's usually only puffy on the inside. It's not really, I don't ever have a problem with them puffy on the outside. It's usually the inside. So I just go around it like this with the steam.
Hi, Quilting for the Soul.
Hi, Sarah. So now let's attach this to a back. Let's get a solid back and get one of these done and out of the way. To find my center, I fold it in half like this.
Elena says, wow, that was super fast going together.
And then I just put a crease right here on this end, a crease right here on this end. Turn the whole entire thing, fold it in half the other way, because it's a big, huge block, so you definitely want creases to line this up. Fold it in half, make a crease on this end, and a crease on this end. Just like that. Open your whole block up. Everything's nice and flat. Take your Dresden, and I've said this before, you can put your points at your creases like this, and this one just laid, I just laid it there and it landed where it's
Let's
supposed
see.
to.
That was like perfect.
So your points could either be on it, or you can do like me, because I want the extra room around for the quilting part. You can lay the V on your creases. Adjust that just a little bit. V
Suburban
is now
asks, how
on
are you going to
all.
quilt this project? It looks
I will
fantastic
show you
so
guys
far.
on the long arm, which on how to quilt, what I'm going to do to quilt it. Now I iron it on like this, just to get everything flat together equally. No bumps or lumps.
Don't we have to ask her what she wants quilted on it? Do we even know?
She wants me to quilt it like my other one.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you asked her already.
Okay, so I'm going to leave this right here on the ironing board, just like this. We're going to come over here, and I pre-cut out my stuff yesterday. So the interfacing is rough side to the pretty side of the fabric, not the smooth side of your interfacing. You want the rough side of your interfacing. You can feel it with your fingers. It's really rough. Put the rough side, I'm going to put this about right here so that flower kind of gets in there. Put the rough side to my 5-inch square, and I'm going to sew a 1/4 inch all the way around. Move my I don't have the strength in my fingers to get that magnet off of there.
Do you need help?
No.
Right here.
So I'm going to sew 1/4 inch all the way around this whole entire thing in a circle. Just like that. We're going to cut it away, all the excess fabric.
You're moving too quick.
Sorry.
Why can't move the camera fast?
I'm just cutting it away. And then, if you have too much seam allowance, you can cut with the scissors all the way around, right up to the seam, but not the seam. I did that yesterday accidentally. I got the seam. So I'm just cutting right to the stitches, just giving it some room for the fabric to move around since it is a circle. Like that. We're going to separate it, pull that fabric away completely. We don't want that in the way. You got to be very careful because I've accidentally cut the fabric before doing Dresdens like this. I've also done the raw edge way, and I kind of like the raw edge way too because it's easier. I don't have to do any of this, but we're going to get...
Are we going to show them the raw edge way at all?
No, I'm not
for this
putting,
quilt?
no,
Okay.
I'm not putting any raw edges on this one.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to use my finger at first to push all the way around inside of my circle. And I'm going to grab my tool and put it on the fabric side, not on the interfacing side, because I don't want to rip through the interfacing. And I'm going to go very slow around my not so circly circle because it's kind of starting to look
Carissa asks, how well does the raw edge hold up?
It does. It's just as good because you're going to be stitching it down anyway. So now my circle is ready. We're going to take this over. We're going to lay it on here. We're going to find our points by pressing like this, making 2 creases. Press it like this, make 2 creases. And then I'm going to line those creases up with this and this, as well as with this and this. Just like that. That way I know it's center. Look center, feel center, everything center. Press it down.
Bam!
So lay the iron on it, let it glue itself. And then
Carissa says, I always worried
press.
it will fray too much and the stitching won't hold up.
Nope, it shouldn't. Especially if you glue it down with a double-sided adhesive. Okay, so that is now down. Now we're going to take our stitch Witchery and I'm going to cut 20 pieces off of here and I'm going to put it behind, behind every blade. Sorry, I'm having an acid issue today, so if you guys hear me burp, I really try not to. You don't have to do this step, you can pin. And one more. You can pin if you want, but I just do it this way.
Elena says, burp away, it'll be like sitting next to my husband.
Well, I have GERD really bad, and my morning times are the worst. And night, morning and night, actually. Throughout the rest of the day, it's not that bad, but morning and night, oh, it's horrible. I sound like a sailor burping on a ship. I could sing the whole alphabet in a burp, but I'm not going to do it for you guys. But if you don't believe me, you can ask Scott. He'll tell you.
She's done it before. It's rare, but I've heard her do it.
And I don't even need soda. It just naturally comes. 'Cause I don't drink soda. I'm just putting this behind all the tips. I'm trying not to move anything but the tip. If you were pinning, you were moving the whole entire thing to pick it up and put your pins in all the way around, and it's just like a hassle. To me, this seems so much easier. And you can pre-cut every single one of these little pieces and just grab from a pile or something. You know, I'm just cutting them as I do each blade. I'm just putting it right behind the tips. I don't want to see the stitch witchery, but I do want it behind the tips at the fold of the blade. And one more. And then all I do is come from the center, iron out and hold it so the stitch witchery glues down. Come from the center, hold it so it glues down, all the way around. So that way I have no folds, creases, wrinkles, or anything. I'm making my way from the center out to hold all these down. I'm just going to go one more time the rest of the way for good measure. It's hem tape, so it should stick always and forever.
Okay, Marla asks, what size did you make your ironing table?
It is 24 by 6 or 23 by 64. Oh, wait, yeah, I think that's what it is. Just for good measure, we'll measure. 26 by 64. Yep, 26 by 64.
Well, Marla, we got video on it. You can make yourself one.
All right, so this is now being held perfectly. Look at that.
She says it's time to step up the game. She has her brother-in-law working on it.
Not going anywhere. So it's good until I sew it. And since I'm already right here, let's grab this pile and do another one.
We have a video on making the ironing board, then we have a video on recovering it.
Alright, so we're going to grab another Dresden that I made earlier. And
Should I stay over there, or do you want me to get back on the stand?
No, it's fine. You can come over here.
Well, tell
So
me
we
that.
have my pieced back one. This one we don't need to fold to find centers because it's already there. Because we pieced it. So here's our 12¼ inch pieces sewn together to make a 24-inch block. I'm just going to center this up with my V at every single point right here. And
I
don't
love those
forget, you're
piece
going to have a
backs.
seam meeting up with a seam. So it's going to seem thick. Seam.
Yes.
Oh, I said seam so many times there. It's going to seem thick, but it
Yes,
should
you
work
did.
out. All right, looks good to me, looks good to me. Everything looks good. So this is where I want this one. We're going to just go ahead and heat it to here so that it doesn't move for now.
I love
before
those
we
piece
make the,
backs. They look so cool.
Yes, they do. See, this one adjusted just ever so slightly. Come back that way. There we go. Keeping it nice and flat. Everything's flat together now.
And so far, the customer is super happy. She called me the other day saying, I love it, I love it, I love it, I
She's
love it.
watching my videos, so. All right.
That's
now
what
let's
she
get-
said. She didn't say hello or anything. I said hello, and she said, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it, is what
All
she
right.
said.
We're going to come over here now and sew another one of these flowers. I'm going to put this right there, like that. And sew around this. Remember, this whole entire time, even with the Dresdens and the tips of the blades and everything, I'm actually using a 1.8 stitch length the whole entire time. Well, at least for a digital machine, it would be 1.8. My machine is kind of not numbered like that, but
Lisa says your colors are perfect. She may have to change her mind on the neutrals that she's waiting on.
alright, so I sewed around it. Now it's just going to cut around it. I feel a sneeze coming.
That's okay. You're allowed to sneeze.
It's going to go away.
It's human. We all sneeze. We all burp. They understand.
Okay, it's going to go away on its own. Alright, so now I'm just going to put some snips right up to the stitch line, but not on the stitch line.
I don't
All the way
understand why you
around.
do that. You explained it, but I still don't get it.
Because it helps open them up because it's in a curve. So since this is in a curve, once I put it on the inside, it's going to want to do this. And a buckle. So if you slit them all the way around up to the stitch line, it helps open them up because we're putting a curved seam in here.
So you needed to show me a little pictures.
All right, we're gonna separate.
Yeah, see, Elena says it eases the material to stretch and make a curve.
Yep.
I needed to see her show me the bending of the material. My brain works better with
visual. All right, so we're gonna push this through very carefully. Try not to rip the rest of the interfacing or stabilizer, whatever you guys want to call this stuff. Go through with my finger.
Concave and convex curve.
We're going to put this in, but we're going to touch it to this circle.
Why don't you use the rounded end?
Because I want to point it out better.
Okay.
I think I want to make a couple bigger circles because these circles are getting smaller and smaller.
Well, BJ says she loves using the pinking shears to make the curve. Auntie Ann asked, would pinking shears do the same thing, or does it not work?
All right, so now we're going to take this over. Yeah, these are getting smaller and smaller. Look at that.
I like the little ones, though, honestly.
Well,
You've been making them bigger. I like the little ones.
I need to add a couple more bigger ones. So we're going to center this by finding our center, like that.
I really like the little ones.
And like that. There, right there, right there, and right there. That's where I want it. So I'm going to go ahead and go on here, glue it down. I'm like hardly moving the iron so that I don't shift anything, but the initial glue should hold it down. I'm going to go from the center out, so that way in case I caused any wrinkles, I'm pushing it out to the outside. And we're going to cut.
Oh!
We're going to cut 20 of these again.
You know, I could put the camera down and just cut those ahead of time for you. That I could easily do.
Oops, don't go on there.
Don't cut the quilt. Oh my goodness.
That's why I'm trying to do it toward the top more. So now I'm going to go ahead and stick one of these under every single tip again, holding it all down until I get to sewing them, because that's going to be probably tomorrow's video, is the sewing down of the Dresdens. I kind of want to get myself a little bit further because I feel like for a client project I'm getting behind.
I should have, huh, Marla?
What?
Marla says I should have had them all cut already for you in a little dish. I ask her all the time what I can do to help. She won't let me do anything on this quilt. Not even allowed to iron. So yeah, that I could have done. Didn't even think of it.
Going behind.
Hi, Po Duncan. No, I'm not going to make a quilt. This is her thing. I just help when she lets me.
He's just the Iron Man when I allow it. But since everything is, this is a client project, I don't really want him doing any of this stuff. He helped turn the blades, that was it.
But the client won't get mad at me.
I know, she won't care if anything's off. But still.
She won't notice, she won't see it. Not like you.
I see everything.
I know.
I see my own mistakes, but we all do that as quilters. So, I can't control it. It's just an OCD.
Podunk says she doesn't blame you. She doesn't let her husband help either.
Alright. Now, they're all down. Go from the center, out. Glue it down. Because why pin? There's no need to pin. Not anymore. Now when you got this stuff.
Marla says Tiff has control issues, LOL.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
Hey, shut up. We're gonna have to turn on a second fan in here or something. I'm sweating my little tiny tushy off. For good measure, I'm gonna go all the way around a second time.
And it says now, no domestics.
Okay, everything's nicely pressed. My nice big huge 24-inch pieced block. Look at that. So I can lift these, but look, see, picks up the fabric so you know that it's definitely glued down. So there's another one, beautifully pieced. And I just want you guys to see from the back side.
You guys are
see
funny.
how flat this still lays, even with a seam here, and then on the front side there's an extra layer of fabric. You can still see, look at, there's no bulk here at all whatsoever. So it lays beautifully all the way around. So another one down.
I was about to sing the song too, but I stopped myself.
All right, so let's keep going. I got another one here already made, ready to go. You can just put that now back on the bobber. I'm just going to center this up.
Well, if you're going to be over there, I can just move the whole thing over there.
I'm not.
That's what I was going to do.
Leave it. It's fine. Alright, everything is where I want it. Just going to add the iron to it to make sure that everything is like laying flat together. Everything's heated together. I know it seems like so much extra work, but
Yep, Suburban, that's the song I was going to
keeps it
sing.
nice, flat block. So we got that center started. I'm going to make my circle now.
Yep, Carissa, that's probably it.
We're going to put rough side there.
Angela says what you do in a couple hours would take her a month.
Go all the way around this.
EJ says those colors are beautiful. I love the fabric brand. They always make beautiful colors. Mary says you're Speedy Gonzalez.
No, I'm not.
Hi, Trini. Trini says, hi, beautiful.
Hello. Alright, I'm going to cut this out. I used 5-inch squares to make these. I didn't really use the whole 5-inch square, but that works anyway. I don't need to snip this one because I snipped all the way up to the stitching this time because I want it a little bit bigger. So I don't think I put any of the 4-patch ones together with a big circle in the middle. Trying to like make it look sort of cool with some bigger and some littler.
Yeah, you want a big one in at least one of those ones, huh?
Mm-hmm.
It does make sense. I agree.
Alright, so I'm just going to put my finger in it all the way around first.
So I have a question for those of you that are following along and are making your own. Do you guys like the bigger circles in the middle, or do you like the smaller ones? Tiff likes the bigger ones. I like the smaller ones. She's doing both in this quilt for the client, but I'm just wondering what you guys think.
Nice and flat. I'm going to put this where I want it. So I'm just going to center it.
Oh, Suburban, I'm almost about to agree with you there.
What?
Nothing. Talking about married stuff. Judy asks, are you going to sew all the blocks together and quilt it before you stitch around the Dresden plates?
No, I'm going to stitch the Dresdens.
Good question, Judy. I was wondering that too myself.
Yes, I'm just making all the blocks that way I can sit and do all the stitching around the Dresdens when they're finished, because I don't want to have to make and then stitch, make stitch, make stitch. I'd rather just go and finally just start stitching all around them all. But if you want, I can show you guys today how to start stitching around them with a blanket stitch.
Bernie says her machine just killed itself.
Oh,
She's
man.
gotta clean it and see if it'll help.
What? That's got to suck.
Well, Jim likes the smaller ones, so does BJ. Smaller circles.
Alright, I'm going to cut.
Laura likes the bigger ones, so see, we get people like both.
got a bunch of my little pieces now.
Angela wants to know why are some of the backings pieced. She says she likes the look, but she's curious why.
Because I only bought 6 yards of fabric, and I needed a way with the 6 yards of fabric and the leftover fat quarters with the light colors that were in the fat quarter bundle to create a awesome project. So I decided to go with, in my mind, I saw pieced pieces instead of just one solid piece as my background. So I was going with what I saw in my mind when I was looking at the fabrics and purchasing. I saw creativity at play. Alright, here we go. I'm just going to be putting these under, the camera's probably staring at the machine. So
Judy likes the small ones. Yeah, do you want me to turn it over there?
You just turn the whole unit over.
Limit the stairs at
Alright, I'm just putting these under. I'll be in camera in just a minute. You guys can ask questions and Scotty can ask me to answer.
Lana says I can't call it either way. I think it would depend on the length of the plates.
Yeah, well these are big plates, so I figured the big circles.
Diane likes the big, she says, big flowers, big centers.
Yeah. It looks good either way, no matter what you do. I just figured bigger blades need bigger centers.
Carissa, you sound like a redneck's dream there, and that's why y'all get along so well.
What?
They're talking marriage stuff, too, so I'm just commenting on that. She says they used to go hunting and fishing a lot together. Sounds like a redneck's dream there.
Oh, heck yeah.
That's why they get along so well.
I would only like hunting for the shooting part because I like to shoot guns.
Yeah, I used to take the kids fishing a lot, and you never came.
And I went fishing as a teenager, and it wasn't my thing. And
Although fishing out here in Havasu is not the greatest, so.
My grandpa does it all the time.
Well, you have to get up super early in the morning then. To go out fishing on the dock like we do, it's not the greatest. That's why I took the kids. Yeah. They caught one or two here and there.
Okay.
Hi, Kathy.
So I'm going to press these down.
Okay, Judy asked, did you say you were going to outline each Dresden block before sewing together?
Yes, I'm going to sew them first. I guess that's what I'll do. We'll set up the other machine real quick and I'll sew one. How long have we been on?
An hour.
We'll get to that then.
Did you want to start sewing today?
Yeah.
Do you want me to turn it over there and watch you iron?
No, I'll be done ironing in 2 seconds
Okay.
because the iron is now out of our.
Oh, well, I can do that.
Give me a second. Mainly need heat. The steam sensor. Set your hand to it in any spot. Alright, those are all cooked down now. There. Alright.
That's
Let me
awesome,
clean up
Carissa.
some of this and we will move
That's awesome.
to the other machine. So give me 2 seconds to switch things up. We'll move to the other machine. Let's hope I don't want to drop any of this stuff. I don't want to mess any of it up. Give me 2 seconds to clean my little mess up here. I'll put all this on the ironing board and then show you guys.
Well, tell more about your steam. Yes, do you use steam?
Yes, I am a steamaholic. I prefer steam when I'm doing stuff like this. This shouldn't move anywhere.
Oops. I
All right.
kicked the stand by accident.
Give me 2 seconds to set up this side, guys.
Here, do you want me to do it?
Nope, I got it.
I can do that while you talk to them about your stuff.
Because we want them to see, so I have to.
Yeah, I can do that while you. Never mind.
This, move that out of the way, move that out of the way. These are such big blocks.
And why are we using this machine over the Juki?
Because the Juki is straight stitch only, and I want a blanket stitch all the way around.
Okay.
Alright, so give me a second. Grab a block.
See, I knew that already, guys. I asked her that the other day. But I asked her ahead of time before you all could ask.
Okay.
Marla wants you to show him the thread you're using.
I am using a goldish brown color.
That shows up pretty good in the camera. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yep.
Yeah. It's called beige, but it looks golden brown to me. And it blends with every single one of these fabrics, so. And then my bobbin thread is a light cream color, because it doesn't need to be anything fancy. So we're going to come somehow get this camera really close.
Well, you go, girl.
As
Bernie
close
fixed
as
the
you can.
machine.
I'm
It's
gonna-
jammed. The thread
Let me
cutter.
adjust the angle so that you guys can watch this.
I'll bring it in. Go.
Okay, here we go. Sorry for the motion, but we definitely need to get you guys right up close. We're also gonna zoom so you can see what it does. Right there's good.
That's zoomed out now.
Oh,
It is. That's out. It doesn't.
there we go. Leave right there. Oh, right there was perfect.
Right there?
So that you guys can see. I don't know how clear the quality is going to be on this, but
It looks pretty clear here.
looks pretty clear here too.
It's not great, but it's better than nothing.
Hold on 2 seconds. Sorry, client stuff going on. Alright. So what we're going to do is, I know you probably can't see my machine, but you can see all these numbers over here. Is that too zoomed in to see all
Yeah.
this? You can use
They just look like
A
Egyptian
straight
hieroglyphics because it's not clear.
You can use a straight stitch if you want. You can use a zigzag stitch. You can use a decorative stitch, one of these fancy ones. You can use whatever stitches on here besides the zipper and buttonhole stitches, you know.
Okay.
And
well,
try not to use like mountain style stitches or oval stitches because that won't come out very good. But any one of these decorative stitches that goes in a straight line, you can definitely use any one of them whatsoever, and it
What-
would look cool.
What's your stitch length and width for a blanket stitch?
Okay, I am doing the blanket stitch, which is 15, number 15 on my machine. I want the, now you can see right here, 15 has a straight line on the outside or to the right, and 16 has it to the left. We want the stitch where it's to the right. The straight line for the right, I want on the outside of all of my blades and all of my stuff. So before you even do anything, just to make sure, throw a test piece under there. So I'm going to take my machine to 15, and I'm going to change my stitch length to a 3.5 and my width to a 4.0, and I'm going to see what that looks like real quick on a test piece. Just like that. I'm going to pull it away and go, ooh, I like that length, or ooh, I don't like that length. And it actually looks kind of big, so I'm going to make that a little bit smaller again by one number, so 3.0 and 3.5. And I'm going to look at it again.
Hi, Nita. Tell Nita what she missed.
Just getting started on the stitching. Okay, so I like that better. That's a lot more tighter, and it's a lot closer together. I don't know how well it's in the camera. So I like that one better. So I'm going to go with a 3.0 length and a 3.5 width on my number 15 blanket stitch on my machine. Alright, so I'm going to slowly put this project under here. Nothing should shift or move because you're glued down now, and or pinned if you're pinning. And I just stopped this where my needle was on the outside, so now I know all I have to do is line my needle up to the outside of my center circle. So I'm going to put my needle down at the outside of that center circle and go, well, that's where it's going to start, so that's where I'm going to start sewing. So here we go. I'm going to just carefully go around that center circle, and I turn the block as I go, keeping that straight line around the outer side of the block. I know this is going to be so hard I just slowly go around it. This is probably the part that takes forever, is the centers, because the centers are a little bit slower because of the curve. The outer side is straight lines, so it goes a little bit faster. Again, I'm using the darker color on the top, and I have just a cream on the back side. It's no big deal. If they're two different color threads, as long as they kind of go together or blend together in case you have like tension issues, which I rarely have on this machine. You can speed up if you want, like me. Or you've got to adjust more if you speed up.
Tiff doesn't do anything slow. She's speedy goes down.
I'm going to come over here to this starter stitch and remove that out of the way.
Speedy Groff salad. We called you that the other day.
I was called Miss Speedy Quiltologist at one point in time.
Groff salad. Speedy Groff salad.
I'm just putting that straighter part on the outer side and the stitch that's coming in on the inside, and I'll show you what it looks like in 2 seconds.
Marla says she uses an open full foot for this stitch.
Yeah, I have an open foot on here so that I can line the pieces up. Alright, so I came to the beginning and I stitched about, I don't know, ½ inch in. I'm going to come underneath and grab that stitch. And now here's my center. Is that good right there? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's stitched. The straight line is on the outside and the grabs are on the inside center circle. So you can see it creates like a straight line all the way around the whole thing. Like that. And I could have gone in and been a little bit more precise, but I'm too whatever to be precise. You don't have to, because from far away you can't even tell. And now we're going to keep it on that same stitch. We have all this stuff over here. And I'm going to come right after the tip of one of my points. I'm going to start right after the tip. I know my needle is now stopped on the outside again, so I'm just going to put it down along the edge of the fabric. Put my foot down and start stitching. So my straight line is on the outside of these pieces. So I'm going to come down and I get to this corner. I watch my stitch, and as soon as I'm hitting that tip, I turn the whole thing because I'm on the outside right now at the tip. And then I come like this. Just like that. I watch where my needle is going to land, so my back stitch and forward, and then I turn it and go this way. So I'm going to speed up through these so I can get this done faster. So I stop, I watch it, and I stop when my needle hits the tip, turn the whole thing, continue on down the next side. I'm watching where my needle lands. That's one back, one forward, turn the whole thing. I always slow down at the tips and at the corners, at the V and at the top point. So I get all the way up to it, I watch my thing, right here, and right there. I go really fast until I get to that tip. I watch my stitch. It hasn't taken its back stitch. There we go. Turn it. This is going to be the part that probably takes the longest because of how many stitches go around this. I mean, we are going around 20 tips on both sides of each blade. And even if I stitch this fast, I still have, it still seems like it's taking forever. And I hold the fabric tight as I do this, but notice I'm not poking myself with any pins. When I do it the way with pins, I always poke myself because there's so much back and forth turning, and I tend to poke myself more. Forward right there, stop, turn. And then I stop when it's at the tips, turn the whole thing. turn. And no, this should not shrink your block. I was asked, does this shrink my block? No, it should not. Your block should still be 24 inches. It will get a little wrinkly with all this spinning and turning and spinning and turning, but it shouldn't shrink because you're going through, I don't know how to explain this correctly. You're going through a thick layer of fabric right here. So most times when you use these kind of stitches, it's always nice to have like a stabilizer. But there's so much fabric at the tip right here because it's so thick that you're not really pulling too much from your outer fabric in stabilized wise because there's 3 layers of fabric right here now, you know, so you're definitely already stabilized. And if you hold things while you go, you shouldn't have a problem. So I just hold it as I go, and I don't have any shrinkage problems at all. And I just watch where my needle lands. I can go really fast and watch where it lands. But if you're slow, take your time on all of your blocks. I just wait until it lands in the tip of that corner. I turn it. I just watch it the whole entire time. And I just give my presser foot one tap, you know, to line myself. And it should line up just right. Right in the tip. We're only doing 12 blocks, so this should not take too long. It shouldn't be like a, you know, 20 hours of stitching unless you're going super slow.
Hey, Jessica.
Hello. Just hold it through and I watch where my stitch lands. I can slow it down as I get to it and speed up through the rest of the block. Or strip or piece, you know what I mean? Just keeping everything aligned with the edge. So I'm just watching where that lands. And since I have an open foot, I can see exactly where it's going to land. Trying to keep my hand out of the way so you guys can see it. And this thread goes perfect with all of these fabrics. So there's lots of maneuvering and turning to do these because they are very big.
Lisa's curious, what stitch are you using?
I'm using, on my machine, I'm using number 15, which is a blanket stitch that has the straight part of the thing landing to the right side. Because I want the straight stitch on the outside of these, not on the inside. If you're using a zigzag stitch or a straight stitch, if you're doing a straight stitch, stitch about 1/8 of an inch or just about at the edge of all of your pieces. If you're using a zigzag stitch, just center it over the whole entire thing, all the way around. If you're using a decorative stitch, again, center it. I'm just using a blanket stitch. For me, that's the easiest to line up and get correct and accurate. Oh yes, this takes a lot of thread to do, so make sure that you bought a nice big spool of thread for this project, because for 12 blocks you're probably going to use at least a 500 meter thread spool. I use the big cones for almost everything I do, so. The only time I use small ones is if I want like a specific random color that I don't have in a big spool. Because I have lots of big spools in here. Alright, we're getting close. Getting close. Not much longer.
Mary asks, is the beach thread you're using Glide brand?
No, it is a Coats. Coats cotton. I don't buy them anymore, but I still had some. I have some signature, but I didn't have any in this color. And I don't have much on the little spools that I have that are the color that I needed here. They're kind of close, but there wasn't much left on them, so I didn't want to take the chance of starting with one of the smaller spools and run out. And now you can see I'm getting to where I started. I'm going to snip that. And notice I didn't start at a tip because I didn't want my back stitch to happen at the tip. So I wanted to make sure I started down from it so that when I come around it'll line up with those previous stitches and they won't in between. Should be equal all the way around. So we're on the last part now. One more stitch right there. Come down and to cross over where I started. About a ½ inch. Right there. Bring my needle up. And you will never know because nobody will ever see.
Carissa ordered new cotton thread
So.
from Juki Junkies live last night. Have you ever heard of that?
Nope. So you can see, can you see those stitches?
That looks awesome, my love.
So you can
are
see
talented.
the straight part of the stitch goes around the outside.
Should I zoom
of
out
the
now
whole-
so they
yeah,
can see the
zoom
whole?
out.
That. Come on. Make it cooperate. There. We go.
So you can
Technology
see
doesn't like me either,
the
guys.
straight part
Y'all
of the
aren't the
stitch
only
is
ones.
the outside. The inner part is the part that grabbed. I came right up to these tips and around them so that you can see they're like it's squared and kept
Elena
them
says perfection.
like that.
Nita wants to know what weight thread is it.
Oh, I have no idea. I don't think it's just a stupid cotton thread. It doesn't say.
Hi, Joanna. Joanna says you make it look so
It doesn't
easy.
say. It's just a cotton thick. It's thick. It's pretty thick. It's not super thin. It's pretty
She
thick.
does, Joanna. She found her true hobby.
All right, we're going to take this over here and lay it down so that I can show you the whole thing.
Where are you going to now?
The ironing board.
Okay.
So I'm going to lay it on the ironing board. You can see it's still pretty flat, but because I was messing with it and stuff, we're just going to press it out with some steam real quick.
Carol says so pretty. Angela says looks amazing.
Just to kind of, you know, flatten it back down because I was moving things around. I'm going to wait for this iron to warm back up. Oh, my stomach is telling me to feed it.
You gonna do another one, or are we
I'm
gonna
going to go
stop?
around one more.
Okay. Because we're at 118. Now we're in 18.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I thought we were gonna be done with the iron. That's why I unplugged it.
That's fine.
You guys have any questions while we're waiting on this iron? Ask away, please. BJ says it looks very nice. Oh, what brand is your iron? Angela asks.
This is a reliable compact vapor generator iron. It's a velocity sensor. So when I touch the outside right here on this handle, it creates steam. Just know after this project though, can you guys see that? How much closer do I got to get for that to be seen?
Yeah, you can see it.
You see all that dust?
Yeah.
It's absolutely horrible. Just know that even if I didn't use steam, this still builds up. So after this is all done, I will have to clean this iron because this is just from fabric dust. So just know that after a project like this, with all the ironing stuff, that you will have to definitely clean your iron. because this is a lot of work here. So I'm just straightening the whole entire thing.
Kathy says very pretty.
Because we just moved it all around and adjusted and all sorts of motion. So it's nice and flat. And there we go. Now we're going to take, just because we know this is supposed to be 24 inches. And you can see right here, I laid it exactly at the top. And look at that. It did not lose any size from stitching. It's exactly 24 inches. So if you do it just right, you shouldn't have any size loss. Right there and right there. See? So it should be exactly 24 inches when you're done. And if it's not, you can trim your blocks down, because look at, we have plenty of room because we didn't put the points on the tips. So if we would have put this point here, we would have left ourselves barely any room to trim if we needed to. Okay?
Yeah.
So just make sure everything stays flat. If you move and adjust way too much, you might lose some size, but in the end they should all be 24 inches. So we're going to grab another one now and go sew it.
Trini says her favorite part of quilting is the ironing.
Alright, so I'm going to take another one. It's a piece, actually let's do a straight one.
Yeah,
just so we can,
do a regular one.
One without any seams. We're going to take this over and sew that.
Carissa likes watching you. You make everything look so easy, she says.
Alright, so this is going to take a while. Again, we're going to just come over here, slide it under, and it looks like my needle is in the outer position, so that's a good start already.
And she gets tips.
So I'm going to put my needle down right at that edge.
Do you guys want it here? Do you want it closer? Do you want it zoomed in? Why don't you guys tell me this time? Do we want it super zoomed in? Should I just sit it up close? Something like that.
Alright, I'm starting to get super hot in here. So let me just sew this on here. I take my time with the outer one, or with the circle, because I have to turn as I go. And not all my circles are very circly.
She has so many projects, Chris, I doubt she knows.
What?
She wants to know what your next project is after this.
My next one is, hold on, I'm thinking probably my daughter's wedding quilt, maybe. Or something in between. I don't know.
Well, this is a client quilt, so it depends on if we get more paying quilts. Because those ones always kind of come first.
Yeah, client quilts come before any of my stuff or my playing around.
Hi, June.
I make sure that I hold everything nice and flat as I'm doing this. This circle is not a perfect circle, so I definitely have to.
You want it zoomed in, Jim? I can zoom it in. Hold on.
I'm going to go ahead and snip my start because I'm coming close to it.
That's as zoomed in as I can get. Is that good?
It should be good. I can see it on the screen. Oops, and if it tries to pick up the edge, just adjust your presser foot. Carefully turn it as I go.
That's too much. Well, now you're getting picky, Jim. Okay.
Alright, so I just passed it by like...
It doesn't like me much, Jim, so it's kind of hard.
I just...
How about that?
Right
It zoomed in a little, but not too much? I don't know.
We're going to come out here to the outside now. And I'm going to start not at the tip because I know my machine is going to want to go back and I don't want to outstitch on this. So I'm going to start in on it. That way my finished stitch comes beyond.
Jim says
So
it's good.
I know I'm on the outside again. I'm going to put my needle down and make sure, and it is. So we're going to just start stitching now. And I always stop right in the tip corner. Pull that stitch away. And I just nicely go all the way around.
Yes, Elena, technology is not my friend.
Stop it right there, because I'm right at the tip.
You're so talented,
Stop
my
at
love.
the
Look at that. You
tip.
make it look so easy.
I don't try to make it look easy. It is easy though. Well, for me it is. I think Dresden's are one of the easier ones to do. It's just time consuming because you gotta put all the blades together, put them all on the back, applique them all on, and then we still have to put the whole quilt together. We still have to cut sashing and put it together, add borders, and be done.
Chris already made her oldest son's wedding quilt before they were even engaged.
That's a good idea.
She said it just needs to be quilted. She hasn't found the backing yet. That's you. You were talking about making Lex a wedding quilt before she was engaged.
Yep. I have some more sew-alongs planned though. I just have to figure out which order I'm going to do them.
Elena says I'm in awe on the machine stitching. It scares me that I do more hand stitching when applique or quilting.
This is all about just lining it up right. It's just like hand stitching. You still have to line things up and do it a certain way. This is just faster.
Marla agrees with you. She says some people shy away from Dresdens, but she agrees with you that they're easy.
Yeah, they're not hard at all. It's just, this is the part that takes forever. Everything else is pretty easy. If you go by my pressing instructions and press everything nicely as you go, like that, with the blades and stuff, and then laying it on the fabric and the non-pinning part, because I don't really want to pin, because you guys, you'd be poking yourselves. If there was pins in here, every time you turn, you're taking the chance of poking yourself. That's why I do the stitch witchery and have been doing that since I started doing Dresden. I was always like, well, I don't hem clothes, so it's nice to have this for the Dresdens. And like I said, if you only have a straight stitch machine, it looks just fine using a straight stitch. I've never had a problem with it looking any kind of stupid. And I'm pretty sure the decorative stitches would look awesome because I've never used the decorative stitch around these. I've always used the blanket or straight, but I think the decorative stitches would look so cool because I have like a leaf stitch on here. I have a double leaf stitch. I have this really cool, like, I don't know what this is. It's like a flowery looking thing. Like all these cool stitches would look so amazing. You just got to know, unlike a blanket stitch, with a blanket stitch you can watch where the needle is going to land. I have no idea if this stitch right here is gonna, this other stitches are gonna land in the specific spot that I want to, in the tips, you know, without making them look a little funky. But you can always stitch them out on like a practice piece first, just to make sure that it is a certain length and width, just to, before you stitch it.
Mary says, gorgeous. Sewing is my forte.
I don't even have this all the way up. I have it most of the way up, but not all the way. Because it shakes too much. This little machine does not like going fast. It shakes so bad. And I try to hold it.
Special. Don't blow it up. You gotta take it easy with those Walmarters.
Yeah. I try to hold it just right though. That way it doesn't shake too bad.
Hi Linda. Linda says hi. She wants to know how your wrist is holding up.
It's hurting when it rubs against because I have to keep massaging and doing my exercise, but other than that, everything else is good. It's actually a lot better than it was. The rubbing of the scar area is pretty painful, and I still can't lift myself up off the floor. I definitely can have no pressure for weight yet. But that'll take time. And then the rubbing. That's why I'm wearing this, so that it doesn't rub as bad. Oh man, that one backstitched. I should have went one more stitch. Oh well. There's going to be 12 blocks, nobody's going to know. It's going to sit on a bed anyway.
one sees your little mishaps but you. Everybody else thinks your stuff is amazing. You just know because you're the one making it. And you're a perfectionist. Your stuff is outstanding.
Yes, I can't help.
I
can't help my perfectionism. It's just who I am. Am I even getting close? No. Boy, this process takes so long. This is the one you just got to get yourself nice and comfortable. And just stretch your body and try not to get too pained because this does take a while.
Hi, Gisela. Gisella's here from Sweden.
Hello, hello.
What did you post on Tips page? Carissa, you talked about the post for your son's wedding?
I'll go look. For those that haven't joined yet, if you're on Facebook, join the group and share your projects. If you're not on Facebook, and you'd like to share what you're doing here with the Dresden Sew Along, just make sure you hashtag with the hashtag symbol and then put Tiffany's Quilting Life, all one word.
She's talking about doing it in February, Mary.
What?
Lex's
Oh,
wedding.
yeah, my daughter, yeah.
Carissa says, I don't know how you go so fast around those tips.
It's because I'm watching the needle and I'm watching where it lands and I'm kind of like assuming where it's gonna land. That's why. It's because I've done, Dresden's is the one I've done the most of. I think I've done more Dresden's than I have done any single block ever. Because Dresden was a very popular one for me in the beginning. I loved doing Dresden's. And I still love doing them. They may take forever in the time-consuming department, but I'm so used to doing this. And once you get to block 12, if you guys are sewing along, once you get to block 12, you're going to be like professionals. You're going to know where to start, stop, finish, add, do, press. You're going to have it all done. Next time you do it, it'll be 10 times easier. I do want to do a couple little small projects in between this and other stuff though, because I do want to do another sew along and then kind of announce it more in advance, that way you guys have a little bit more in advance time to get supplies. But I do want to do some smaller screw arounds with, I got a template that I want to use that I've never done before. A couple other things. I got a lot of stuff I want a long arm quilt, so there's a lot of videos right there. It's just long arming. Okay, I'm coming right back to where I started now. I'm just gonna cross it by like a ½ inch and be done. And this landed, I don't know how well you can tell, but it landed exactly on the previous stitch because I went around and it landed right on it all again. Oh, if you guys are interested in any kind of sewing machines, I have a link in the description below every single one of my videos for Sewing Machines Plus. Definitely a great place to purchase machines. There's a link down there.
They sell Jukis?
They sell Juki, they sell Baby Lock, they sell Janome, they sell Brothers, they sell Singers, they sell everything. And then they have
going now, back to
tons, yeah, back to the iron. They have tons of long arms and all sorts of stuff like that. They sell Handy Quilter and my King Quilters. They sell, oh my god, I can't think of the other name of the other ones, but they have them all, trust me. They have tons of machines to choose from. So now I'm just gonna
I don't
flatten.
know where they ship to, Elena. Do
They
they
ship-
ship to the UK and Australia?
I
Do you
don't know about out of country, but I do know they ship in country.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. So, sorry. Yeah.
So I'm just pressing this just to make everything lay flat because again, I was adjusting and moving and twisting and turning this. So I want it to be flat again. Okay. It's all nice and flat, perfect block. Ready to be put into a quilt. See that? It's wonderful. So there's the difference between the straight one solid background and then
Okay,
the
I have to
pieced
take it off the
background.
stand if you want me to show them both here. That wasn't in my way till you got in my way.
So there's the difference between a pieced background and a straight background.
Is it still zoomed in? Oh, it was still zoomed in.
So the pieced one
There we go.
definitely gives it a little bit more flair. So you can see the highlights. So if you wanted your Dresden, say you have some colors that are dark and some colors that are medium and some colors that are light, and you chose like a medium for your back and a dark for your pieced parts of this project, you could always put the blades that are in a darker range on the lighter fabric, the medium range on your darker fabric, you know what I mean? So that you have good contrast between the two of the colors, you know? And it's not going to look dumb. You could still have all your blades in a nice order since there's two sets this way, so you can have your mediums here and your mediums here on your dark sides, and then your darks here and darks here on the lights, and it should still look pretty darn good.
Chris and Gisela both asked you a question.
Question. Do you add some kind of interfacing to the backside? No, it doesn't need it because they lay, like I said, here's a pieced one, and it is super duper flat. Look at that. They stay nice. It's all stitched down. My seam is now permanently stitched to one direction. So none of these seams should flip. The center should never get messed up. Everything should stay. It's again secondly stitched on those. Nice and flat. Perfectly flat block. Comes out the same size. And if you want to put interfacing, you can. Here's the one with just the single. You can see how flat that lays on the back side. Let me get rid of all these extra threads. It's not like it really matters because it goes in the quilt anyway. You can see, look at how flat. You can see it didn't suck up any fabric. It didn't pull anything in. You know what I mean? It didn't like tighten it or bunch it or anything. They lay pretty darn flat to me. And it looks amazing. Also make sure you have a fresh needle in your machine before you start all 12 of these. I should have said that in the beginning. I put a brand new needle in so that it goes really nice. So that's what the two look like.
Hey, Chris had a question too.
Oh,
It's right above the other one.
Um,
Something about the needle stuffing. Right above the Gisela.
I can't see how close to the edge you're top stitching these plates. Right here, look. On the edge, the outer edge is my straight stitch, which you can hardly even see because it blends so well. And then the open stitch, that grab part of it, when it goes back and forth, is on the inside. So I line up that outer stitch with the outer edge of the whole entire thing, all the way around. Same with the center circle, which never becomes perfect because I'm going in a curve there, so it comes away sort of, like show right here. You can see where the straight part of it is, right? Where my finger is, you can see it never ends up exact because I'm in a curve right here, but you should align that outer straighter stitch to the exact outside of the block, right at the edge of the fabric. But in some areas it'll stick out, you know, if you're not, there's no need for it to be perfect. You can't even tell. Plus I'm going to be quilting around all that anyway. So, all right, here you go. Take that.
Elena says the stitching is amazing. Looks great.
I'm going to close that. Hold on. Let me just move this machine out of the way real quick.
Are we saying goodbye?
I'm going to
Are we doing something else?
finish by stitching some more of the blades together, I think. Turn
Get
this
this old
machine.
tablet out of the way.
I must turn this machine off. You can plug this guy in.
Yeah.
There
Well,
we
you've been
go.
on an hour and 40. That's what I was wondering.
All right, so
Because you said you want
for
to
the
eat.
last few minutes, we'll review. I'm going to take a drink of water. So review-wise, we used 6 yards of background fabric, a 40-piece fat quarter bundle, which I separated, and I have extra pieces because these are going for a secondary project, which you guys can make the wall hanging with me after, because there's another project coming after this whole quilt's put together with the leftovers. Then I'm using 2 yards of the sashing fabric and 2 yards of the border fabric. I cut my blades. I turned my fat quarters. I stacked up, I did 20 fat quarters of all the dark colors that I wanted out. Stacked them up, sliced the selvage off the bottom part of the fat quarter, and then cut up 10 inches, and then cut up 10 more inches. You'll get 6 blades per. If you are using the big Missouri Star one, the layer cake Dresden plate, then it goes your exact 10 inches. If you are using an easy quilting Dresden, an 8-inch tall Dresden maker, just make sure that you align it at the bottom. So if you're making your cut from down here first so that it equals the size of this one I show in video 1, when you flip it, line it to the top. When you flip it, line it to the bottom. That way you're always getting the extra width that you needed on that top, because this top part is 4 inches. Let me just make sure. Yeah, it's 4 and like a millimeter, literally, from here to here. And this bottom is 1 inch. It's not quite 1 inch. It's like 9 out of 10 millimeters, which I don't really know what that is.
Good night, Gisela. You have a good day, darling.
So just make sure you're lining up those correctly. So I cut all 20 of the fat quarters up for this. So if you're just doing the blades and you're not doing the extra project, you just needed a 20-piece fat quarter bundle with just 20 colors in it for your blades, and then 8 yards of background fabric, and then the same in the sashing and the same in the border, which was 2 and 2. Cut out, if you're using layer cakes, you need 2 layer cakes, because you'll get 240 blades. You need 240 blades. You'll get 242 blades from 42-piece layer cakes. So there's that. And then what else? I'm using my light colors. I pulled 8 of the light colors out of this stack to make pieced blocks. Every 2 big 24-inch pieces that I cut, I get 1 from each of those for my backgrounds here. And then I only got 1 from every fat quarter for my backgrounds here, because they're 12 1/4, and well, you can only get 1 12 1/4, but those extra pieces again are going for the secondary project. And then you sew the top side of your Dresden, you flip them around, you sew all the seams closed in half like this around the top.
Says it looks so good.
And then you can either snip the ends or leave them open, or leave them in there. It's no big deal. I snipped them in video 1, you can see, so that I have no seam right here at the top. I don't want any bulkiness right there, but you can leave yours by all means. It's no big deal. It makes no big difference. Then you put them all together, make a however order you want. If you're doing a specific order, I am not caring because they're all landing in different spots on here. Then you would sew them together, right sides together like this, and always start from this top fold. Never start from the bottom, because they don't line up. I mean, they do, but they don't. You may have cut everything exactly the same, but as soon as you start putting them together, they are not exactly the same.
Bye, Sarah. You have a
Always
good
sew
day,
from that.
darling.
Open everything up, press it either to the right or to the left, but make sure that you continuously press everything the same all the way around. That's very important to get this to lay flat, is putting them all in the same direction so that it lays super flat. Again, video 1 and video 2 and video 3, which is now. They all show that. So there's the review. Put it all together, iron everything nicely, make your center circle out of your half a yard
Are your
of
background
interfacing.
blocks 24 inches square?
Yes, 24-inch squares is what we cut. And then your center circles are, I just cut 5-inch squares from 1. I took 1 of the fat quarters from the bundle again, because we had 40 pieces to play with. I took 1 fat quarter from the bundle and cut it into 12 5-inch squares, because that's all you get from a fat quarter for 5-inch squares. And then I cut out my interfacing, made some circles by folding them in half, and then in half again, and then cutting around with a circle to make my circles. And let's see, yeah, that's it. That's a quick overview, and then we just sew them together, and I just showed how to stitch. So from today on, you guys can just catch up. Tomorrow I'll be back with more catching up and reviewing and sewing around them all. I want to try to get the rest of these all pieced together and then ironed down with the stitch witchery and the centers put on. That way I have a nice stack and I can just sit at the brother machine and continuously just start going around all of them so that all 12 blades are done. So probably by, what day is it we're not going to be here? Is it
Tuesday.
Tuesday? So by next Monday I should be back with, by then we should be able to start piecing the quilt together, but I don't know because...
Are we going to work on this on Sunday too?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what we're doing for
What's your thing? You take your time.
Yeah. Again, you guys
They're
can
all
just
saying
play
how fast
catch up
you are, so
with me, and I'm just going to
apparently
finish
you're ahead of most of them.
putting all this together off or on screen. I will be back again tomorrow. Next week on Tuesday, I will not be here. We are going to Prescott.
How many borders are you doing on this one?
Just one border. The sashing may be considered, it's going to be sashed in between all the blocks, and then the first border is the sashing. It's still going to have cornerstones, which again are going to come from the other pieces. So it'll be quite fun, or we can use what's left over in the box, but I'm pretty sure the cornerstones are going to come from that instead. What else? So hopefully by next week I'll be ready to start putting them together. If not, just know I'll be back tomorrow again. And I don't know about Saturday. I kind of need a daycay, a daycation.
You've been going at it every day.
Yeah, I've been at it every day, so. And you guys could just play catch up as you wish because the videos are here. And there's now playlist under playlist for this Dresden Sew Along. So I'm going to get off here and go eat and sit down and do whatever, watch a movie, and then nap. That's what I'm going to do. So thank you guys for hanging out. Hoping you guys are loving this sew along as much as I am because I'm having so much fun. These are just awesome. I love them. They look great. This Kansas Trouble line, Bittersweet Lane, is definitely the perfect for Dresden's. Looks amazing. So, all right, guys, don't forget to subscribe if you like my videos, share them with your quilty friends, and I will see you tomorrow at 11 a.m.
Bye.
Bye.